Here we are at Clapham Common, and the pond opposite dear old Henry Thornton School. However, from this aspect, we who were there from 59 to 66 will not recognise anything, unfortunately. The comprehensive school that was built some few years after we left has demolished what we knew as the South Lodge, where we would have school dinners. Beautiful building, demolished for this monstrosity, but never mind. And also the Stowe House site, which has been absorbed into the new structure. However, when we go the Elms Road entrance, things fortunately haven't changed all that much. The old school building fortunately still remains, although it has been converted into an adult education facility. As you can see, there's the old school sign. The Henry Thornton Centre has been put over it, and there we are, a scene still hopefully very familiar to us all. I rarely use this entrance coming in the morning, except when I wanted to skip past the prefects who used to wait outside Mr. Dorrington's office to try and nab you. There was no other way into the school other than going through the front, and feel a bit of a hypocrite really, because in my turn I was a prefect and I used to stand there waiting for the lads, but I suppose it's just the cycle of events, isn't it? Much of the school field has in fact disappeared under tarmac, unfortunately. Here we see the car park, and I think in our day the grass started at the junction line there between the old tarmac and this new section. However, things have moved on, and it's looking a little unloved at the moment, because apparently the future of the Adult Education Institute and the financing, they're not sure of. It may well be sold off. But here we see the remains of the school field. There are several tarmacked hard court tennis courts, and I think these are squash courts that have been built. And here's the old building, not looking too bad from the outside, but as you will see inside, it's a little unloved at the moment. Hopefully it won't be demolished. This is where we would dodge the prefects when we were late, and I was quite often late and put in detention, so let's see if there are any prefects there today. No, looks like the coast is clear. This scene hasn't really changed all that much. The scholar is over there in the background, and this is where we used to run and jump about, and in that arch over there, I remember the days of the third of a pint milk bottles that used to come in crates, and some of the days it was so damn cold that the milk was frozen. In the little quadrangle here, they've in fact fenced it off, because part of what they're about on the right hand side is they converted one of the rooms into a creche for obviously people that want to study that have got young children. Looking back out through the arch, this is the back of the new comprehensive school in the distance, and all along here was where Stowe House School was, beyond this fence, where we used to get through and have great times with some of the huts and aeromodelling and all that sort of thing. Now this, I can't really ascertain what this is, but I'm sure that wasn't there when we were there. It looks like some sort of sports stadium type thing. Here we have more tennis courts, which unfortunately have been built out over what used to be the nice walkway through, and there was a lawn tennis court, if I remember rightly. Over by that wall used to be the fives courts, two fives courts, and here remains what I think is, and this is open for discussion guys, what I think is one of the original Stowe House huts that remained. Why this particular one remained, I don't really know, but remain it does. Many a happy time spent in the hut This is where Nosher Phillips taught us O-level, A-level zoology, botany and biology, where we actually took our A-levels, I think. Certainly the practical aspect of it. Unfortunately, the interior is just used as a storage room at the moment. The scholar has survived the test of time, although looking somewhat more emaciated than I remember him, and having gone a bit green. Mr. Dorrington's office was over there on the bottom left-hand corner, and the entrance has in fact now been blocked up because they are the administrative offices for the adult education facility. But the building is not looking too bad. As we walk through, we'll come across to the zoology and botany laboratories. Just saying another hello to Mr. Scholar, who survived the test of time. And it's quite pleasing to see that this building, although not actually used anymore, is still there. A number of times, hey guys? As we look beyond the biology, botany, zoology lab, moving down to the side, I'm not sure whether that hut was there, but certainly along there was the tuck shop and the ATC hut, and looking down, that's looking down towards the school field, and that's the back of those squash courts that you saw earlier. This is just looking inside the advanced level zoology and botany lab, where we used to have great fun gassing rabbits and dissecting Astacus and Lumbricus terrestris. Wonderful times. Just passing the entrance that was into the zoology botany hut with our dear friend Mr. Phillips. Walking further up here, now this was the walkway where the fives courts used to be, and just a lot of grass, but not much of that now remains, unfortunately. There's a lot of tarmac, and I don't think I can really get up to the school unless that gate that we see is open, but nevertheless it has been well cleared. That's the Stowe House site across the way there, and the remaining hut that we saw earlier. I'm now standing on what I think probably used to be the lawn tennis court that we used to play, strangely enough, tennis on. And some of the old trees remain, and the interesting thing is I've just been speaking to some of the students, and they're on a horticultural course, and they're arranging sort of a woodland garden here, which is rather nice. There's the school at the front. I won't bother to go in there because it doesn't mean anything to us, but looking round, I'm sure this is the approximate area where the fives courts used to be, and there is a hell of a lot of tarmac looking back down to the old school. Coming back now to what was the main entrance of the school, I've got to go up and see the site manager. She's given me permission to do some filming, but she wants to come round with me while I actually go inside. See you in there. Right, now we're about to... It's called the Scholar, yes. Somewhat emaciated, but it is the Scholar, yeah, or the remains of. Right, and now we're about to enter the sacred portals in the company of Joan, who is the site manager, who has very kindly let me come in. And as you see, to the left, what used to be, I think, Mr. Dorrington's office and whatever, are now the administrative offices of the adult education facility, and where there used to be access to the back of the hall, that has now completely disappeared. Okay, as we come on through, hopefully it'll be recognisable to you guys. The green ceramic tiles are still very much in evidence, and although the functions of the rooms have changed, they're in the same places. This is now a canteen. This is another one of the classrooms as we're going by, and if we may just nip into the school hall. Many a day. Do you remember the dancing classes, lads? What they've actually done is foreshortened the school hall. They've put a mirror there, presumably for exercise and dancing classes, but some of the remnants of the old days are here, I think some of the brackets for the wall bars that used to adorn the walls of the place, and certainly up in the ceiling there are the hooks that used to hold the ropes. Remember climbing up those? And many a bad Shakespeare production done on this done on this stage. And down here, you may remember, it's derelict now, unfortunately. Well, it's not used. That was the way down to the changing rooms. Mr. Allett, terrible man he was.
PE teacher.
Oh, PE teacher, yes, very hard man he was. And if you didn't get dressed and undressed in time, he used to slip at the back of your legs. It was terrible. In fact, I quite enjoyed it. But anyway, no, not to worry. Right, out we go. That's the school hall. Thanks for that. Shall I pop the lights off? Pop the lights off. Don't want to waste the electricity. And queuing up for school. My God, it doesn't quite smell the same anymore. It smells nice, you know. It smells okay, you know.
Show how it's changed.
Oh yeah. This is now the IT facility, which back in the early 60s we had no idea that this was how it would go. It certainly has changed that room. Running through. Ground floor corridor. Oh, brilliant.
I think some of the boxes are already in there where we want to get
Okay.
we need to get
Don't want to disturb too many people. Coming round. Sorry, after you. Now this used to be the teacher's room, and many a times, I'm sure I have, and I don't know whether about you guys, have stood by that piece of wall there quaking, waiting to see Mr. Dorrington or Mr. Black or Mr. Davis come out there and tell us how he was going to punish us. But just so that I can say I've been into the teacher's room, I'm now in the teacher's room, the inner sanctum that we were never allowed in. So all I can say to those teachers of old is, I'm in here now. And where are you now? Long gone, unfortunately. Right, so this is downstairs now. Coming through to here, this is, I think, where the metalwork room used to be, and the woodworking section. This is now a creche on this side, presumably for children of the students, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that they can study. And this now is, I think, domestic science, isn't it? Don't worry, just yeah, this is the domestic science lab that used to be the woodworking room.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to distract you. Thanks very much. Okay, yeah, I won't do too much of that because I know it's distracting for people. Okay, and here we are, the good old stairs where we used to... Now Joan, walk, don't run. Walk, don't run. The number of times that was said to us coming up these stairs.
These stairs need renovating.
Yeah, well they were stone, you see, when we were here. They didn't have even this on it, you know. So, now, these are the old science laboratories. Advanced chemistry, advanced physics, the realms of Harry Hoffman and Boots Newton. Yeah, do you remember Boots Newton? Now the pottery side of things, and yes. Thank you very much. This used to be the advanced physics laboratory, apparently. The advanced physics laboratory. Yep. Indeed you do. Thanks very much. Yeah. Don't go. Oh, we have a video star. We have a video star here. There's always one when a camera comes out. Right. This is where Mr. Black held sway, the elementary chemistry lab. I'm not sure what that one was on that side.
That's an art room now.
So that's an art room now, is it? Oh, right.
That's the print room, and it's not.
Oh yes, the print room, which was all the old benches and stuff. Obviously have long gone, but it's nice to see that the rooms are still being used. Now we come down to the upper corridor, where Professor Farthing. He's now a professor of something at, I can't remember exactly where, but here's a professor. This is where we did our murals, and although they have disappeared under years of paint, I very excitedly discovered that obviously they had put some electrical fittings on the wall, and underneath, lo and behold, there is evidence of our artwork, which is not much, but it is quite sort of quite interesting, isn't it? And you think, we did that. There you go. How much longer it will last remains to be seen, but it is still there underneath everything. Here's the old brown glazed tiles. Goodness. Story about fire extinguishers. I told you that one already, haven't I? But for the benefit, there used to be fire extinguishers up here, and these windows overlook the school hall. And I remember once dance with the girls from Thornton, where some boys, I hasten to add none of us, well I hope none of us, unless you've got something to admit of course, let off the fire extinguishers and sprayed them all down onto the assorted hordes down on the dance floor, which wasn't very clever when you think about it, but lads will be lads, I suppose. Now coming through here, at the top on the right hand side used to be the library, where we had cultural mathematics with the headmaster, Mr. Dorrington, whatever cultural mathematics was, but there you are. And I don't remember what this room is, but this is Joan's office. I think it was actually used as a toilet before, actually. Okay. Well, that's very nice. Here endeth the tour, and I hope you guys have found it interesting. Just before I go, in the administrative offices there is a small sort of collage of the history of the school, and whilst I can't read it all out to you, there's old Henry himself and some of the other worthies, William Wilberforce, Thomas Clarkson, all the houses of the school, you guys remember, and Clapham Town 1909. No, we're not quite as old as that. I think on that note we better stop.